Love. In a world of wars, battles, beasts and blood, little time is spent on the musings of love. Even the greatest songs, myths and legends are about valiant warriors, enigmatic mages, and god-kings who reach heaven by violence. However, actually, love is all around the mortals of the Elder Scrolls. They can feel it in their fingers, and they can feel it in their toes. It may be the love of brothers facing a great enemy, the love of a mother for their son, young lovers of feuding families, or it may be a god who so loves their creations. Today we are focusing on the gods of love in the Elder Scrolls. Welcome to Fudge Muppet, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott, and today we are exploring the different forms of love and their expressions, or rather divine manifestations, in the Elder Scrolls. This is by no means a definitive thesis, but rather an interesting way to view the gods. Love can be viewed through three dimensions: one of self-love, one being the love of others, and the final being love of connection. Each of these dimensions in the Elder Scrolls are encapsulated by three different gods: Azura, Dibella, and Mara, which I believe are the love gods of the Elder Scrolls series. Let's talk about everyone's favourite, sensual mistress of beauty, Dibella, the passion dancer, our blessed lady, queen of heaven, goddess of beauty, love, art, music, and affection. One could say that she is the god of aesthetics, whether that be the beauty of a painting or a person. She embodies the desire of mortals to seek beauty in their lives, whether it be a melodious sound, the supple curves of a woman, the carved structure of a man, or rather, it could be the vibrant petals of a nightshade flower. Dibella is the love of things. Her love involves an object or subject that exists outside the individual. It is fitting that she is a goddess of Atmoran origin, a god of man, for it is the view of men that mortality and Mundus itself is a good thing, something of beauty, something to be admired and cherished, as opposed to the orthodox elven views of Mundus, where it is seen as a prison, a vile trick at the hands of Lorkhan the Betrayer. Dibella is the divine who pays men in moans, the one whose ideal is beauty, sensuality, and one could even extend this to the erotic. Even though Dibella is one of the holy divines, others within the temple will levy criticisms of Dibella as a lustful deity, or at least a deity whose domain is perverted by her followers. I mean, if you observe the practitioners of the Dibellan arts, such as Helga in Riften, you'll find example of such erotic practice. The House of Dibella even comments on the ideas of multiple lovers, imposing no limits on sensual generosity, but still demanding focus on the quality of the love over the quantity. If your affection is pure and untainted by coercion, it is blessed in the eyes of Dibella, for she has said, "No matter the seed, if the shoot is nurtured with love, will not the flower be beautiful?" It is important to remember that followers of Dibella seek beauty and aesthetic sensation, whether that be from interpersonal connections, a beautiful moment like a sunrise, or instead an artistic craft such as a sculpture or story. Ultimately, the key part of this type of love is the object and how beautiful it is. Like I just read in the words of Dibella, "No matter the seed, if the shoot is nurtured with love, will not the flower be beautiful?" The focus here remains on the beauty of the love, the aesthetic pleasure that it may arouse. However, the problem remains that such a flower will one day wither and return to the soil. It may possess beauty in the moment, but one day it will decay, and if love is dependent on the visual pleasure derived from beauty, then like beauty itself, the love too will fade. Next we come to the opposite type of love, that is, love of the self, self-love. Azura, queen of dawn and dusk, mother of the rose. Azura is a Daedric prince tied to mystery, magic, fate, and prophecy, but above all, she craves the undying love and adoration of her followers. She is a personification of vanity and egotism, and so fittingly she is a lover of herself. She requires others to love her only so that they may validate her own self-image. In the book Invocation of Azura, it says, "Azura is the only Daedric prince I have ever worshipped who seems to care about her followers. Molag Bal wanted my mind, Boethia wanted my arms, and Nocturnal perhaps my curiosity. Azura wants all of that, and our love above all. Not our abject slavering, but our honest and genuine caring in all its forms. It is important to her that our emotions be engaged in her worship, and our love must also be directed inward. If we love her and hate ourselves, she feels our pain. I will for all time have no other mistress. It is true that Azura cares for her followers, but the question is, where does the love source from? And I would posit that her love for others is not from an altruistic love for love's sake type of love, but instead a love that is motivated by the adoration she receives. The Queen of Night Sky loves and cares for her followers, for without her devotees, she has no affirmation of her greatness and worthiness, but her love is contingent on reciprocation. Her love for her followers is defined by its usefulness. It is sourced in her vanity. She needs others to love her, to validate her. She loves only those who would give themselves to her, totally. It is a possessive, ego-fueled love, a love that is conditional. As has been said before, vanity well-fed is benevolent, vanity hungry is spiteful, and that phrase neatly portrays most of Azura's interactions with mortals. An egomaniac loves you when you love them, but withdraw that affirmation of her greatness and you will suffer. Such was the fate of the Kaima, who turned away from her in favor of the tribunal. They were cursed with ashen skin and red eyes during a bout of spiteful fury, and one day she would have her revenge through the Nerevarine, who would cast down the false gods and humble all of Morrowind. To the Ghajiit also she is seen as a mother figure, the one who changed them into their cat-like forms. If you were to compare the god and follower dynamic to one of a mother and her children, then it doesn't look so pretty. It's a rather unhealthy relationship in where the child, the followers, are only there to serve and validate the mother. She likes the idea of being a good mother, but if her children turned away from her, whether justified or not, the love ceases and the spitefulness takes its place. Put simply, she is selfish. At her extremes, it will always be unhealthy, the need for others' approval, others' worth being measured by their capacity to validate you. It is not a good way to be, but on the other side, many struggle with acceptance and love of themselves. They doubt their worthiness. Sometimes you need to take on the egocentric, perhaps irrational love of yourself, because you are you, and that is all there is to it. While self-love may be something that Azura professes, as it is said, if we love her and hate ourselves, she feels our pain. But ultimately her self-love, or in other words, her self-worth, is determined by her followers' adoration of herself. In a way, she's the example of vanity gone too far, but the principles of self-love and pride in oneself are not inherently bad. In fact, I'd say the opposite, but they must be sourced from within, not dependent on the love and confirmation of others. So if Azura is the love of the self, and Dibella is love of things outside the self, then Mara is the love of connection, a compassionate, caring love, contingent on nothing. She is known as the Divine Mother, or Mother Mara, and the reason she is so associated with mothers is because of what it represents. A mother's love, in its ideal, is unconditional, dependable, and is given simply and only because she loves. Mara gave life to mortals so that they may love. Mara created out of love. She did not know the mortals before creation. They had not given her anything. She simply loves them, whether they know it or not. This is the idealized true love, and the mother connection is made because typically a mother's love is a mortal's first experience of true love, and it comes without condition. A mother loves because you are, not because of what you can give, or not because of what you do, not because of what you look like. A mother's love, at least in the romantic, idealized depictions, is the truest of true love. People seek this kind of affection, love despite flaws. They love you because you are you, simple as that. This is what Mara represents, so it's no wonder that she is a known entity to nearly all godly pantheons in Tamriel. In ways, she is a universal goddess. She also associates love with creation, which by association relates to mothers, fertility, and agriculture. Acts of love create, whether they create a bond, a baby, or a berry tree. A seed requires nurturing and nourishment like a baby or a romantic relationship. This love between creator and created dynamic can be further exemplified in some other potential interpretations of the divine we know as Mara. The Yokudans, ancestors of the contemporary Red Guards, worshipped and still do worship Mara as Morwa, the teat god of fertility and love. Depictions typically show her with 4 arms so that she can grab more husbands, and other depictions also include 4 breasts to nourish more children. She has been described as a lusty Yokudan god, but not quite as lusty as Dibella. Morwa fulfills more of a middle ground between Dibella and Mara in the Yokudan pantheon. Her shrines are the shape of beehives, and this is symbolic of the queen bee, a mother to all the bees of the hive, and of course a beehive is a source of honey, one of nature's many bounties. While not explicit, there is also a possible connection between the divine Mara and an early Nedic deity called the Fat Mother. She takes the form of a great fat bee who nourishes the people, but if anyone treated her poorly, they would be stung to remind them of their good fortune. To me, Mara is symbolic of connections through love. A prime example can be seen through Skyrim's marriage traditions, but like all things in the Elder Scrolls, different cultures possess different interpretations of deities and ideals. In typical Elven Orthodox scripture, Mara is the beloved wife of Auriel. The imperial cult too claims that she was the wife of Akatosh, and in the Yokudan writings, Morwa is the favoured wife of Tall Papa, their equivalent of Akatosh. But in the Nordic pantheon, Mara is instead a concubine of Shor and handmaiden to Kine, who is Shor's wife. This presents some potentially interesting insights into Nordic culture and their understanding of love as opposed to others, perhaps a different view of love, less possessive perhaps. Mara here is a handmaiden in service to her mistress Kine, but is also a concubine of Shor, another lover. To many other cultures, this would be considered a transgression of love, of marriage, the union that bound Kine and Shor. So to me, it would seem unlikely that Mara, being a god of love and marriage to the Nords, would deliberately work to undermine such a custom, but instead, rather to the Nords, or at least ancient Nords, love is understood differently, and perhaps polygamy is seen as valid. Mara, the divine embodiment of love, may be contextualized by the different cultures that worship her, but she is most strongly associated with bonds of love, the connections, whether that be mother to child, husband to wife, or husband to concubine. Ultimately, through the dynamics of Azura, Dibella, and Mara, together they encapsulate love in all its forms. Through Azura, one can find the path to self-love and pride in oneself. However, tread with caution so that you may love yourself for who you are, not contingent on the love and devotion of others. Through Dibella, one can appreciate the beauty of love, of affectionate moments, of brilliant art, but be careful not to give love only contingent on beauty, for all beauty fades and leaves in time. Through Mara, one can appreciate the loving bonds between mortals, the connections, loving one for their spirit, their soul. While this may be regarded as the safest and most admirable, do not forget the passions and beauty of the world. After all, we do live in a material existence, meant to be experienced. And do not forget to care for yourself. It can be a torturous existence, living only for the love of another. Between the triangled truth of love, between the points of Azura, Dibella, and Mara, is where one can find true bliss. Always be cautious when you drift to an extreme, for each comes with a folly. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my take on the love gods of the Elder Scrolls, and I'd love to see what you think in the comments below. As I previously alluded to, there will be slight variations with different cultural interpretations of the mentioned love gods, and to others such as the Dunmer of Tribunal Age Morrowind, Almalexia was their personification of motherhood and compassionate love, and likely there are other variations out there, but as a general rule, I think the triangled truth of love, that is Azura, Dibella, and Mara, satisfies the desire for a neat description of love in the Elder Scrolls. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do give it a like for the sake of peace and love. My name is Scott from Fudge Muppet, and I'll be back to nerd out with you again next time.